I knew this dude once who froze some paintballs. Really messed up some other guys with them. Can I do that here?
I know a guy who froze paintballs and was shooting people with it. It is the most annoying and enduring myth inside of this sport. If you've worked in the industry, you've heard it a million times, usually from rental players that tell you, I know a guy who knows a guy who definitely knows the guy that no question was freezing paintballs and like shooting people with it. So today we're going to have a little bit of fun and do a little bit of science and prove why it is an absolute myth. It's fully untrue. Here we go.
All you got, just one or two shots? Ooh.
Okay, we're back. So we've tried freezing paintballs using a few different methods, from a bath of ice to a regular residential freezer to a high-end commercial freezer. We got down as low as -4 degrees, and when we broke them, none of them were solid. None of them were frozen. So at this point, we should know the myth of, I know a guy who froze a paintball, realistically isn't real. They didn't do it. They would need something like liquid nitrogen, which operates around negative, I think it's negative 330 degrees. That would freeze paintballs. Anything outside of that, it's not true. So why? Why didn't they freeze? And that's because of what's inside of a paintball. It's not water. It's actually, to some extent, PEG, polyethylene glycol. That's one of the common components in there. And one of the reasons it's in there is because it stops stuff from freezing. So at what point will PEG freeze? Well, that depends on what percentage is inside the fill. And we don't know what's inside the fill. We don't know the percentage. The industry doesn't tell us that stuff. It's their own secret formulas. But from what we did today, getting all the way down to -4, we know that it can't be any less than, say, 30%, probably closer to 40%, because at 40% PEG, we get to -8, and that didn't happen. So the myth of freezing paintballs is busted, and that's why. It's PEG. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going down this fantasy road and pretend that that guy who knows a guy who knows a guy got a hold of liquid nitrogen and actually froze paintballs. If that was the case, how much more deadly is it? Well, it's not. So this is the equation that covers kinetic energy. If you've taken a high school physics class, you've probably seen this equation. 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Paintball mass is about 3 grams. Paintball velocity, let's say 300 feet per second for this scenario, means we're delivering 12.5 joules to the human body when it strikes, right? Some of that might be lost when the paintball breaks, but not much. So how does that change when a paintball is frozen? Well, it doesn't. So mass does not change just because it's frozen, not one iota. So it is absolutely busted that it would change how much energy, and that you could even freeze it, we know is a myth now. So, now we know that the myth of freezing paintballs is not real. Nobody knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy that froze paintballs. We love you. We want you to come back and play. Please stop telling your local field staff that you know a guy who froze paintballs. It only annoys them and sends them into a rage. Thank you.
Hey, I know a guy who is freezing paintballs and shooting them. Ah!